Welcome to today's edition of 10 TV Plus. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud alongside Jay Plyburn.
What's up?
Mother Nature threw us a little bit of a curveball this weekend.
I'm just going to call it out. My wife couldn't get the doors open to the vehicle because it was so cold this morning. They were frozen shut. Even I had a little trouble this morning. I just had to really yank on them. You got to be prepared when you go out and it's that cold.
And especially all the wind, so you had some moisture, and now the wind is like just caking in that moisture even worse. So
give yourself extra time.
That does not surprise me. And we actually have a lot of stuff to cover because on one piece of the pie, it's like, yeah, we have the cold and the wind and the low wind chills, and then we have more snow on the way. And then on top of that,
we got a nice round of snow yesterday.
Yes, which we'll talk about that. And in addition to all this, we have flood alerts right now.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's a lot.
Without further ado, let's hop right into it. And these are flood warnings across the southeastern part of the state, okay? And the reason why these are located down here is for a couple of reasons. One being that they had a lot more rainfall. Southeast Ohio, some areas got around 4 inches of rainfall. That is a lot. And then as you get towards the Appalachian Mountains, you get a lot of that downstream effects because, you know, what goes up must come down. And so the rain falls across the higher terrain, and then it goes into the Ohio Valley. And so the Ohio River, we're definitely going to be watching out for concerns here. But we're looking at over 12 counties with those flood warnings right now in effect. Now, the latest update with the river levels, we are going to be looking at kind of a lag time, okay? The rain came on Saturday, but it's mostly going to be the next 48 hours that those streams begin to respond. As we head down towards central and southern Ohio, we are looking at some moderate flooding out there, and then we're looking at minor flooding here where you see the orange showing up on the map. The Scioto River at Circleville down in Pickaway County, that'll be peaking sometime tonight going into tomorrow. 18.1 feet is where the river will be. Now, flood stage is once you get up and above like 13 feet. Well, that's the action stage. Minor flooding begins at 15 feet. So there could be some impacted areas down there. And then we'll talk about the other piece of the puzzle, the snowfall here. Look at this. Bucyrus coming in at over 4 inches. Mount Gilead, 4 inches. Columbus Metro came in at 3 inches. Even down there in Ross County, Chillicothe, 2.4 inches in snowfall yesterday. For the month of February, we actually have a little bit of a deficit. You see, yeah, it did snow yesterday. That was pretty much the only snow that we've had all month long. Average is about 4.6 inches. So, of course, you do the math, we're running a deficit of 1.6 inches. Heading out the door today and heading back home this evening, we're looking at ice out there. Not just today, but going into tomorrow. I know that ODOT crews have done a terrific job getting out there and salting and sanding, but we will still be tracking some ice going into the next couple of days. As we look at wind chills out there, it is brutal. I mean, south and east, a little bit better where the wind isn't as bad, but you head north and west of town as we head into the early afternoon. We're still looking at wind chills at or below zero. Here's what my thoughts. By 4 o'clock, which is typically around the warmest time of the day, wind chills will be in the single digits and then dropping down below zero as we head past midnight tonight and into the start of tomorrow. Then there's more snow to talk about. So Wednesday, we are tracking snow showers throughout the day. We're not getting a big wallop of snow, definitely not as much as yesterday, but I do think a quick ½ inch to an inch is possible, so be ready for that heading into Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon. Still tracking a few lingering effects of snow, and that lake effect snow machine is cranking off of Lake Ontario. Lake Erie still has a lot of ice, so maybe not as much lake effect there, but we are tracking our next system, and that is coming in right here. Now, the track of that storm is pushing a little bit further down to the south. So I'm thinking Kentucky, West Virginia, they're going to be in line for some heavy snowfall later on this week. Southern Ohio, yes, but central Ohio, it's going to be a close call. If that track goes a little bit further to the north, we're going to take that snow band and push it further to the north. But right now, it looks like we kind of miss out on the brunt of that snow. Let's talk about the track, though, more specifically here. And right now, that low is going right over central Kentucky. So Lexington up towards Cincinnati will be in that snow belt. But like I just said, and I just want to reiterate it, that if we take that track and let's say it marches 100 miles further to the north, well, that axis of accumulating snow will be further north as well. Right now, our thoughts are only a coating to a half of an inch, so not a lot out there. But then once you get south of I-70, could be looking at 1 to 2 inches. Once you get down towards Ross County and Vinton counties, all those places, Pike County, you guys would be in that 1 to 2 inch mark. And then as we get a look at the next 6 to 10 days, below average temperatures continue for much of the Appalachian Mountains, going back to the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys. And then as we get a look at precipitation, things actually tend to dry out. So once we get past this next Wednesday storm, long term, the brown on the map shows below average precipitation. So I'm not expecting much in the way of change in that department. All right, so going into today and tomorrow, of course, things are looking pretty good out there. Heading into Monday afternoon, temperatures will be warming up to the lower end of the 20s. But then as we head towards 6 o'clock this evening, dropping back down to the teens and eventually dropping down to the close to the single digits here by 10 o'clock at night. Those wind chills, it's always the pesky wind chills that it will be very low. And then as we get a look here at your Wednesday forecast, still tracking that threat of snow. Again, just to reiterate, all day long, ½ inch to an inch. Just a light nuisance if you are traveling out there, and just enough to create a little bit of ice out there on the roadways. Heading into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we are going to be tracking improving conditions, and we finally thaw things out. We get above freezing for the first time in a week by Sunday. That should be nice.
That's a cold stretch.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, get it out of here. Trivia.
Trivia time. All right, so you ready for today's question?
I'm always ready, Dylan.
Okay. Flooding is the blank cause of weather-related fatalities. The possible answers are flooding is the number 1 cause of weather-related fatalities, number 2 cause, number 3 cause, or number 4 cause.
Ooh, this is a dark question. Flooding is the number 1. I'll go with the number 1 cause.
Number 1 cause. All right. He just locked in his answer, and you had a 1 in 4.
That's what my gut told me. I should have gone with my gut.
Number 2 cause.
2.
So close, but no cigar. You want to know what the number 1 is?
I guess I need to know now, yes.
Heat. So heat-related deaths.
Not this time of year.
Yeah, that is the number 1 cause. But let's get a look at this a little bit closer. It only takes 6 inches of moving water to sweep you off your feet. That is not a lot of moving water. 6 inches. 12 inches will move your vehicle. 18 inches will move a large SUV or a truck, all right? So more people die of flood-related causes than pretty much any other weather-related phenomenon. The only thing that's number 1 on the list would be heat-related deaths. All right, so let's take this a step further and take a look at the different flood alert types, okay? Because sometimes you can kind of get lost in the weeds because there's so many different watches and warnings and advisories. All right, so let's just say this is your house. A flood advisory is simply a message to say, hey, minor flooding is likely, especially in low-lying areas, all right? So we're looking at no major threats to property or life, but it's just, this is a nuisance, right? We could be looking at some low-lying areas with some flooding or standing water out there on the roadways. And then once we get to an aerial flood warning, okay, at this stage in the game, life, property are in danger, all right? So if there's an aerial flood warning, that typically means that after we get a heavy rainfall like what we just did, we're going to be looking at a large geographical region that could be subject to those rising waters. And then when we look at flash flood warning, now we're looking at an imminent threat to life and property. Typically, these are shorter in duration, less than 6 hours. All right, so typically coming right after a very heavy rainfall. And then the other one that we have, and this is actually the one that we have in effect right now, would be the flood warning, okay? And that's just a basic flood warning. So flooding is expected to occur along a river, stream, or waterway. In the case of right now, what we're seeing over the next few days, we're looking at flooding occurring along some of the major rivers, which include the Ohio River and the Scioto River. So water will rise or stay elevated from continued rainfall in areas feeding into the waterways, and they can last several days or weeks. I bet you in the case of this week's flood alert, we'll be looking at the risk lasting at least through most of this week, as some of the major arteries, some of the major waterways like the Scioto River and the Ohio River won't be cresting until Wednesday.
A lot of my friends and family in West Virginia are really having major issues with it. Have been over the past
West
few weeks.
Virginia, Kentucky, Southern Ohio, even parts of Tennessee.
It's no joke. Turn around, don't drown. If you see that water, find another route.
Exactly. Enough said. All right, that does it for us here on 10 TV Plus. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz is here with more at 6 o'clock this evening.